afternoon, I'm Anna Yakovenko. I would like to present the result of my research, linguistic and stylistic means of creating narrative tension in English whole literature in Howard Phillips Lovecraft works. The topicality is defined by the necessity of complex study of narrative tension and the specifics of translation on linguistic and stylistic features of its creation. The object of study is narrative tension. The subjects of the research work in the peculiarities of translation in the Ukrainian language of linguistic and stylistic features of creating narrative tension in the English horror literature. The aim of the research work is to identify the peculiarities of the transmission of narrative tension in the Ukrainian language in the English horror literature by identifying the linguistic and stylistic means of its creation. Achieving the formulated goal requires solving certain tasks. They characterize the meaning of the concept of narrative tension. To characterize the peculiarities on linguistic stylistic means of creating narrative tension in the corpus of English language horror literature. Howard Phillips Lovecraft is a world-famous American writer and journalist who made the invaluable contribution of the development of literary genres of horror and fantasy. His books are so unique and original that they are often separated into a separate genres of literature, Lovecraftian horrors. It was his fantasy that created the myths about Cthulhu. Among the most famous works of Howard Lovecraft, it is work highlighting the books The Call of Cthulhu, the music of Eric Zen, The Cave of Charles Dexter Wall, The Shadow Out of Time. American writer Howard Lovecraft states that the oldest and strongest human emotion is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is the fear of the unknown. Forbidden knowledge is central theme in many of Lovecraft's works. Many of his characters have curiosity or scientific interest and use books such as the Necronomicon to achieve their goals, leading to their demise or insanity. One of the main stages of a work horror literature is tension. Narrative tension is needed so that the reader does not lose interest or get bored while the conflict in the works of art develops. Tension can be the growing interest and excitement that readers experience while waiting for the climax of or logical conclusion of the conflict story, a property of the text as a certain way of constructing and unfolding the plot. The reader's psychological state caused by the aforementioned property of the text. Oral literature often use phonetic, lexical, and syntactic means of expression to create narrative tension and build atmosphere. Lexical means of creating tension. Consider how Lovecraft in his works uses lexical means of creating tension, which is based on the description of the psycho-emotional states of the characters. We following the following types of vocabulary used to represent the emotions of horror. Vocabulary representing emotions of horror, fear, and fright. For example, fear has its grisly claws upon him. Vocabulary that directly express emotions describe the psycho-emotional state of the hero through the manifestation of physical reaction. Examples of such lexical units are paralyzed freeze, the blood chills, for example, the single glimpse of forbidden eons which chills me when I think of it. Vocabulary associated with death, phenomena that carry normal danger. Examples of such like them are death, to kill, to die, to kill myself, for example. It was a nightmare itself, and to see it was to die. Vocabulary that describes the state of the protagonist of the work, the environment, and the era. The following lexical units are things: blasphemy, monster, and ugly. For example, ugly roots. Syntactic means of creating tension. In horror literature, various types of sentences are used to create narrative tension: interrogative, exclamatory, inverted, elliptical. Stop them, he would shoot. What had he found there? Oh, wait, what had found him? It's true, terribly true. Phonetic means of creation tension. Let's consider a number of words that accompany the representation of negative emotions by the hero of the works, reproducing the timbre, volume, and duration of pronunciation. Like them matter love volume, they didn't get him, he mattered. Like them scream hide volume, high tone, long duration. That next room forced a real scream out of me. Like them whisper very low volume, don't go out, he whispered. Like them cry long duration, cried he volume. When he did so, his cry was less restrained than Morgan's had been. Conclusion: all works of the horror genre are characterized by mystery and disturbing, terrifying events. Also, in such literature, there are linguistic, stylistic devices that contribute to the emergence of the state of tension in the readers, and as a result creating narrative tension in the work. The analysis of linguistic stylistic means of creating narrative tension showed that literal translation and functional substitution are most often used. In addition, translation authors use many other translation, transformation, grammatical substitution, addition, deletion, specification. Thank you for your attention.